The sound of rain against the penthouse windows feels like it's drilling into my skull. It's been 3 weeks since the accident. 3 weeks since the glass, the screech of metal, the smell of burnt rubber, all the details I can't scrub out no matter how hard I try, swallowed our lives whole. My wife, Helena, was supposed to be invincible. She ran through the corporate world like a storm, the kind of CEO people whispered about in boardrooms, equal parts fear and admiration. Now she sits in the master bedroom down the hall, unable to move from the waist down. I should feel nothing but sympathy. That's what a husband is supposed to feel. But instead, my chest is a cage, rattling with something I don't want to name. At exactly 8:12 p.m., my phone vibrates against the coffee table. A notification from our family and inner circle group chat pops up. Cassandra, Helena just texted me. Vow renewal is off. I blink at the message, reading it twice, then a third time. My hands go cold, fingertips prickling as if the blood's retreating from them. Marcus, wait, what? Cassandra, she said it's not the right time. Not the right time. The ceremony was our anchor, the thing we promised ourselves during the chaos of our company's merger last year, that no matter what, we'd take this night to remind each other why we started. I scroll upward, looking for some hint that she'd told me first. Nothing. The last direct text from her was a sterile update about her physical therapy schedule. Not the right time, I mutter to myself. The words taste metallic, like they're laced with something poisonous. A new message drops in the group chat. Helena, everyone, thank you for understanding. This is for the best. For the best. I can almost hear her voice, cool, polished, perfectly CEO even in a family thread. Marcus, you could have told me directly. No reply. She doesn't even leave the seen indicator under my message. My chest tightens. I can picture her in the bedroom, scrolling through her iPad, avoiding eye contact with the man who used to be her partner in everything. I push up from the couch, pacing the polished wooden floor of the living room. The rain keeps hammering the windows, the city lights outside smearing into streaks of gold and red. I think about the months of planning, the invitations, the rooftop venue I chose because it had the same skyline view where I proposed to her. I think about how this was supposed to be our renewal after years of sacrifice, my sacrifice. I didn't marry into her world to be a shadow. I had my own plans once, an investment firm that would have carried my name, my vision. Instead, I folded them into hers, because I believed in us more than me. Now, she's made a decision that slices straight through the center of our shared life, and she's done it in a group message, like I'm just another distant relative who needs to be kept in the loop. I glance at the door to the bedroom. For a moment, I considered confronting her, demanding an explanation. But I can already imagine her expression, calm, dismissive, framed with that untouchable dignity she wears like armor. Instead, I pick up my phone and scroll through old photos of us, laughing in Florence, drenched at a beach in Thailand, standing shoulder to shoulder in boardrooms like equals. I stop at the rooftop engagement photo. The skyline behind us looks the same as it does tonight, only then it felt like a promise. Now, it feels like a lie. People like to say that when you fall in love, you just know. That wasn't true for me. When I first met Helena, I didn't feel some earth-shattering connection. She was sharp, too sharp, the kind of woman who cut through conversations like a blade. We were at a mutual friend's rooftop party, the kind where champagne never stopped flowing and everyone's smiles were 2 shades too bright. I was standing near the edge, looking out at the city, thinking about the pitch I had lined up the next morning. My startup dream was still alive back then, a boutique investment firm that would handle the kind of unconventional projects big banks ignored. I had the name, the branding, even the logo sketched on a napkin in my jacket pocket. She walked up beside me without a word, heels clicking against the concrete. Thinking about jumping, she asked, as casually as if we were talking about the weather. I remember turning toward her, surprised and a little amused. No. Just planning my empire. Her lips curved, but her eyes didn't soften. Empires require more than planning. They require war. We talked for hours that night, about strategy, ambition, and the cost of getting what you want. She made me feel seen, like she recognized a hunger in me that most people overlooked. I think that's what hooked me, not love, not charm, but the sense that she understood the kind of life I wanted. Back then, we both swore we'd never let anything slow us down. But somewhere along the way, my dream blurred into hers. My investment firm was put on hold when she offered me an executive position in her growing company. I told myself it was temporary, that I'd build my own thing once her expansion stabilized. That was 4 years ago. The first time I saw her younger sister, Lila, was at our engagement party. She was leaning on a cane, her left leg stiff, her smile small but genuine. Helena introduced her briskly, my sister, recovering from an accident, and then swept me away toward a group of investors. Lila barely spoke that night, but I caught her watching us from across the room, her gaze steady and unreadable. Now, years later, she's back in our lives. And with every passing day, the contrast between Helena's polished detachment and Lila's quiet warmth feels sharper. I shake my head, pulling myself out of the memory. The rain outside has slowed to a drizzle, and the city's neon signs bleed color into the wet streets. I glance at the closed bedroom door again. She's in there, probably drafting emails to board members or reading market reports. Once, we were building something together. Now, I'm just another piece of her empire's furniture, solid, reliable, and easily replaced. The smell of antiseptic clings to the air long after the nurse leaves. Lila sits on the edge of the guest room bed, her cane propped against the nightstand, her hair damp from the rain. She's thinner than I remember, her movements deliberate but not fragile. She wears a gray sweater and soft cotton pants, the kind of clothes that don't pretend. "Thanks for letting me stay here," she says, her voice quiet but steady. "You didn't exactly have to ask," I replied, setting her suitcase near the wardrobe. "Helena insisted, didn't she?" A small smile tugs at her lips, but it doesn't reach her eyes. She framed it as, practical. Said it would be easier to arrange my rehab sessions from here. Practical. That's Helena's word for anything that feels like strategy rather than care. The bedroom door swings open without a knock. Helena glides in, her wheelchair humming softly over the hardwood floor. Her makeup is flawless, her blouse crisp, she dresses for boardrooms even at home. "How are you settling in?" she asks Lila, tone brisk. "Fine," Lila says, folding her hands in her lap. "Good. Marcus, once you're done here, we need to go over the quarterly report draft," Helena adds, not looking at me. "Now." I glance at the clock. It's past 9. It can wait until morning. Her gaze snaps to mine, cool and sharp. "The market won't wait, Marcus." Lila shifts slightly, as if trying to make herself invisible. "I don't want her to be." Helena wheels closer to her sister. "If you need anything, Marcus can get it for you. I'll arrange a driver for your appointments. I can manage some things on my own," Lila says softly, but Helena waves it off like it's a minor detail. When Helena leaves, the silence she leaves behind feels heavier than her presence. "I'm sorry," Lila says suddenly. "For what?" "For being here. I can tell it's inconvenient." I shake my head. "No. It's not you." She meets my eyes then, and for a moment I feel an unspoken understanding pass between us, two people orbiting the same cold sun. Down the hall, I hear Helena's voice on a call, crisp and commanding. Lila turns toward the sound, then back to me. "She hasn't changed much," she murmurs. "No," I say quietly. She hasn't. The ballroom smells faintly of roses and ambition. Crystal chandeliers scatter warm light over tables draped in white linen, where champagne glasses catch and refract it like tiny prisms. The kind of event where every handshake is a negotiation and every smile hides a calculation. Helena sits beside me at the head table, her wheelchair discreetly positioned between two gilt-backed chairs. Her lipstick is the exact shade of power red, her expression carved into that perfect, impenetrable CEO mask. Lila is across the table, wearing a midnight blue dress that softens her pale complexion. Her hair is pinned up, a few loose strands falling over her cheek. She hasn't stopped fidgeting with the stem of her glass since we sat down. Halfway through the evening, Helena leans toward me. "You're not mingling enough. I thought we were here for the Children's Foundation," I say, keeping my voice low. "We are. But so are the people who can keep this company solvent in a volatile market." I glance at Lila, who is quietly speaking with a man from the rehabilitation center sponsoring part of the event. She looks more comfortable than I've seen her in weeks. "I'll mingle when I feel like it," I reply. Helena's smile is polite, but her eyes flash in warning. "That's not how this works, Marcus." Before I can answer, the evening's host calls for attention, and a wave of polite applause ripples through the room. Helena's name is announced as one of the foundation's top donors. She accepts the recognition with a short, precise nod. Later, as guests mill around, Helena glides off to speak with a cluster of investors. I find myself near Lila. You don't have to look so tense, I tell her. She gives a small, self-conscious laugh. I'm not used to this kind of crowd anymore. You're doing fine. Her eyes meet mine, and for a moment, the noise of the room fades. That's when Helena reappears at my side, her hand brushing my arm, a proprietary gesture. There you are, she says smoothly, but her gaze slides to Lila, assessing. Marcus, why don't you join me over there? Someone important I want you to meet. I hesitate just long enough for it to register. I'm fine here. Her smile doesn't falter, but I see the crack behind it. Suit yourself. She turns and wheels away without another word. By the end of the night, the polite frost between us has frozen solid. In the car ride home, she scrolls through her phone in silence, the glow of the screen casting her face in cold light. When we get back, I block her from our private couples chat. I replaced it with a new group thread, me, Lila, and a few other family members. No ceremony, no explanation. Just the quiet satisfaction of drawing a line. The conference room is a cathedral of glass and chrome, with the city skyline laid out like a prize beyond the floor-to-ceiling windows. Helena sits at the head of the table, her wheelchair angled slightly so she can address both the shareholders and the senior management team. I'm 3 seats down, technically still an executive advisor, though lately it feels like I'm only here to fill a chair. The meeting's purpose is routine, quarterly updates, financial forecasts, until Helena glances at me and says, Marcus, I think you should step out for the next portion. It concerns matters outside your scope now. The words land like a slap. I keep my voice even. If it concerns the company, it concerns me. I'm still a stakeholder. Her smile is all ice. Of course. But you're no longer involved in strategic decision-making, so this will save you the trouble. There's a murmur around the table. And then he walks in, Adrian Cole. The rival. Tall, clean-cut, with a polished charm that borders on smugness. He carries a leather folder and a self-assured smirk, like he already owns the room. Pleasure to be here, Adrian says, taking the seat directly across from me. Helena's brought me in to streamline some inefficiencies. I hear the subtext, I'm one of those inefficiencies. We go through the rest of the presentation like it's a boxing match. Adrian pitches a restructuring plan that cuts 2 of my old initiatives, calling them outdated relics. Helena nods along as if every word is gospel. When I finally speak up, those projects were profitable and part of our long-term vision. Helena's response is surgical. Marcus, she says, her tone patient enough to sting, the company's vision has evolved. You're free to disagree, but the decision stands. It's not just the dismissal. It's the way she glances at Adrian afterward, a silent confirmation that his place at her side is secure. The meeting ends, and as people shuffle out, I hear Adrian say to someone just loud enough for me to catch, some people don't know when their time's up. Before I can respond, Lila appears in the doorway. She must have been waiting for me in the lobby. She looks between Helena, Adrian, and me, her expression tightening. Outside, she falls into step beside me. What happened there? Nothing that hasn't been happening for months, I say, trying to keep my voice steady. She stops, forcing me to meet her gaze. You shouldn't let her humiliate you like that. I almost laughed. You think I don't know? We walk out together, the glass doors hissing shut behind us. Somewhere inside, Helena is probably congratulating Adrian on a job well done. It's just past midnight when my phone starts buzzing against the nightstand. I don't recognize the number at first, but the moment I answer, her voice pours through the line, smooth, deliberate, every syllable calculated. Marcus, Helena says, I didn't wake you, did I? You did. My tone is flat. I wanted to clarify what happened at the meeting. There's nothing to clarify. She exhales, the sound faintly exasperated. You're making this personal. It isn't. Adrian's restructuring will protect the company's future. You should be thanking me for saving you from the stress of those responsibilities. Saving me? I repeat, the words tasting bitter. By cutting me out in front of everyone. I was giving you freedom, Marcus. Her voice softens, like she's explaining something to a child. You don't need to carry this weight anymore. You can focus on other things. Personal projects, perhaps. Personal projects. As if the company, my work, my years of sacrifice, had been nothing more than a hobby she let me dabble in. I'm not interested in freedom on your terms, I say. And I'm done following your path just because you've decided it's the only one worth walking. A pause. Then, the faint scrape of her fingernails against the receiver. You're being dramatic. I thought you'd see this as an opportunity. I see it for exactly what it is. The silence that follows feels like the space between two strangers on a long, empty train ride, no longer enemies, not yet friends, but entirely apart. When she finally speaks again, her tone has cooled to a professional chill. Do as you wish. Just don't forget who built the life you're living. The call ends without a goodbye. I sit in the dark for a long time, staring at the faint outline of the city skyline through my window. Somewhere out there, Helena is probably drafting another strategy, placing her pieces on the board. For the first time in years, I'm certain I'm not one of them. It's Saturday morning, gray and sluggish, the kind where the city feels like it's holding its breath. I'm still in bed when my phone lights up, one notification after another, a cascade of pings that makes my stomach clench before I even look. David, you seeing this? Cassandra, oh my God. Marcus, don't check we linked. Too late. I opened the app. The first thing I see is a photo, high resolution, perfectly lit, of Helena and Adrian at what looks like an intimate dinner. She's leaning toward him, laughing at something he's saying, her hand resting lightly on his arm. Not a business meeting. Not in that dress. The caption, courtesy of some industry gossip account. Power pair. Sources say CEO Helena Voss and strategist Adrian Cole have been inseparable these past weeks. It's already got hundreds of comments. Some are defending her. Some are dissecting every inch of the photo like it's a crime scene. I scroll without meaning to, skimming the venom, the speculation. Then I see her own account, Helena's, where she's reposted the photo to her story with a single line beneath it. Some partnerships are simply meant to be. My hands go cold. It's not just the public intimacy, it's the pride in it. No shame, no attempt to hide it from me or the world. I close the app, toss the phone onto the bed, and just stare at the ceiling. A buzz from my nightstand drags my attention back. A single text from Lila. I'm sorry you had to see that. I read it twice, maybe 3 times. The simplicity of it cuts deeper than all the comments, all the speculation. She knows what it means, not just the betrayal, but the deliberate way Helena chose to display it. Somewhere deep down, I think I'd still been waiting for Helena to turn around, to realize what she'd broken and try to fix it. That illusion dies right there, in the faint blue glow of my phone screen. The rehab center smells faintly of eucalyptus and detergent. Lila is lying on a padded mat, sweat darkening the collar of her t-shirt, her hands clenched in determination. We've been at it for almost an hour, stretching, strengthening, coaxing muscles that have been stubborn for years. Again, she says, breathing hard. You're going to overdo it, I tell her, crouched at her side. She shakes her head. I'm fine, help me up. I slide an arm around her waist, my other hand bracing her thigh just above the knee. She leans into me, warm and trembling, the scent of her shampoo, something soft and floral, cutting through the clinical air. For a moment, our faces are inches apart. Her gaze flicks to my mouth, then away. My pulse kicks hard. When she takes her first unassisted step, her breath catches, and so does mine. See, she whispers. Not fine. Better. We both laugh, the sound low and quiet, like we're sharing something no one else could understand. Then she stumbles. Reflex takes over, I catch her, pulling her against my chest. She doesn't let go right away. Neither do I. The click of heels echoes down the hall. I turn, still holding her, to see Helena in the doorway. Her blouse is crisp, her lipstick immaculate, but her eyes are a shard of glass. Well, she says, voice smooth as marble, isn't this touching? Lila straightens awkwardly, stepping back and reaching for her cane. Helena, it's not. But Helena's gaze is fixed on me, unreadable in the worst way. Don't stop on my account. I let go of Lila slowly, every muscle tight. We were working on her therapy. Of course you were, Helena replies, her tone perfectly polite, perfectly poisonous. She turns and wheels away without another word. The echo of her departure lingers long after she's gone, like a warning neither of us dares to name. Lila exhales shakily. That didn't look good. No, I admit, my voice low. It didn't. But as I walk her back to the car, part of me isn't worried. Part of me feels defiant. I don't pack much. A few suits, the leather-bound notebook I've kept since my investment firm days, a handful of books that smell faintly of coffee and dust. The rest I leave behind, not because I don't want it, but because I don't want to carry the weight of this house into whatever comes next. Helena doesn't try to stop me. She stays in her office with the door shut, the hum of her wheelchair occasionally drifting down the hall. I hear her speaking to someone on a call, her voice steady and composed, as if I'm just a delivery man moving boxes. By noon, I'm standing in a one-bedroom apartment on the edge of the city. The rent is outrageous for the space, but the view is mine. Through the single large window, the skyline stretches like a jagged crown, the river glinting beneath it. I'm still unpacking when there's a knock at the door. Lila stands there, holding a paper bag with both hands. I figured you wouldn't cook today. Inside is a homemade meal. Chicken soup, bread still warm in its paper wrap. I set it on the counter, suddenly aware of how long it's been since someone brought me food without a hidden agenda. You didn't have to. I wanted to, she says, cutting me off gently. We eat sitting on the floor, surrounded by half-unpacked boxes. She tells me about her therapy session that morning, how she took 5 steps without her cane before her legs gave out. I tell her about the office space I've been looking at for my new firm, a small suite above a bookstore. At one point, she laughs, a real laugh, not the polite kind she uses around Helena, and the sound feels like a window opening. Later, after she leaves, I check my phone. Helena has posted photos from a rooftop gala in Milan, her and Adrian framed by city lights, glasses of champagne in hand. The caption reads, "Progress is everything." I lock the screen and set it face down. Out there, she's moving forward in her way. Here, I'm starting to remember what it feels like to move forward in mine. The trade expo is a swarm of bodies and voices. The clink of coffee cups, the hum of low-stakes deals being made over exhibition booths, the occasional bark of a sales pitch. I'm here to meet with a software developer who might help me automate part of my new firm's analytics. I'm halfway through explaining my needs to him when a ripple goes through the crowd, the subtle shift that happens when someone important walks into the room. I don't need to turn to know. I feel her before I see her. Helena. She's dressed in a dove gray suit, her hair pinned back in that severe twist she wears for big appearances. Her wheelchair is polished, almost gleaming under the overhead lights. Adrian is at her side, guiding her toward a group of venture capitalists like a prize to be showcased. I keep my eyes on the developer, but my pulse changes. It doesn't take long. Out of the corner of my eye, I see her notice me, that fractional pause in her glide, the way her chin lifts half an inch. She excuses herself from Adrian and rolls directly toward me. "Marcus," she says, her voice carrying just enough warmth to draw attention from the surrounding booths. "I didn't expect to see you here." "I'm working," I reply simply. Her eyes flick to my name badge, reading the small print, "Voss Strategies, Independent." Something sharp glints there. "So it's true. You're going through with it." I nod. "Already in motion." She leans forward slightly, lowering her voice. "You could still come back. There's room for you if you're willing to adapt." Before I can answer, my phone vibrates. I take it out and see Lila's name on the screen. I swipe to answer without hesitation. "Hey," I say, turning slightly so Helena can't see my face. "Yeah, I can meet you for lunch. Give me 20 minutes. When I hang up, Helena's expression has cooled, the invitation gone from her tone. "I see. I'm sure you do," I say, and step away, leaving her surrounded by curious onlookers. For the first time in years, I don't feel the pull to turn back. It's raining again when Helena shows up. No call, no warning, just the quiet thud of the elevator door opening outside my apartment, followed by the soft hum of her wheelchair on the hallway carpet. I open the door, and there she is, rain beating on her tailored coat. Adrian isn't with her. "Can I come in?" she asks. Her voice is level, but her eyes are restless, scanning the space behind me like she's looking for signs of another life. I step aside. She wheels in, glancing over the half-unpacked shelves, the bare walls. "You've made it, cozy." "Cozy enough," I say. She turns to face me. "I'm not here to argue. I'm here to tell you that this," she gestures vaguely at my apartment, "my absence from her side, isn't working. For either of us. The board is asking questions, the press is sniffing around. You walking away like this makes it look like there's something to hide." "There is something to hide," I say evenly. "You just don't want anyone to see it." Her lips press into a line. "Marcus, come back. For appearances, if nothing else. We can work out the rest privately. But if you force this separation into the spotlight, it will damage both of us." I shake my head. No. My priorities have changed. What could possibly be more important than salvaging the life we built? The answer is easy. Lila's foundation. She's making progress, and she's serious about launching it. I promised I'd help. Her expression tightens. So that's what this is about. It's about doing something real, I say. Something that isn't just for show. Her voice sharpens, the CEO mask slipping. If you walk away from this, Marcus, you walk away from me forever. I meet her gaze without flinching. I think that's already happened. For a long moment, neither of us speaks. Then she turns, wheels toward the door, and leaves without another word. The rain swallows the sound of her departure, and the apartment feels quieter than before. Not emptier, freer. The law office smells faintly of polished wood and old paper, a place where endings are dressed in formality and expensive stationery. I sit at the long table with my attorney on one side, Helena and hers on the other. She's immaculate as always, her posture in the wheelchair perfect, her gaze fixed somewhere past my shoulder. The papers in front of me detail the split of everything we've built, the house, the investments, the shares in the company. The numbers are clean, clinical. No mention of the years I spent shaping them. No mention of the nights sacrificed, the choices made. Mr. Voss, the attorney prompts. If you'll sign here, and here. I take the pen. It feels heavier than it should. My name scratches across the page, each signature a small release of pressure in my chest. Helena signs without looking at me, her motions precise, like she's authorizing a routine transaction. When it's done, the attorneys shake hands, exchange pleasantries. Helena doesn't move right away. She looked at me for the first time that morning, her eyes unreadable. This was unnecessary, she says softly. I slide the pen back across the table. No. It was overdue. She holds my gaze for another moment, then wheels out without another word. Outside, the air feels brighter, lighter. Lila is waiting near the curb, leaning on her cane, a faint smile on her lips. How did it go? She asks. It's over. We walk, slowly, in her case, down the block toward a cafe. I match my pace to hers, not in pity, but in sync. For the first time in years, I'm not moving to someone else's rhythm. By the time we sit down with coffee, I realize something. Helena is already fading. Not gone, not forgotten, but no longer the center of gravity she once was. The hotel ballroom smells faintly of fresh flowers and new paint. Rows of chairs face a small stage where a banner reads, Lila Voss Foundation, Building Futures, One Step at a Time. Lila stands beside me, balancing on her cane. Her dress is soft blue, her hair swept to one side. She looks nervous, but when she glances at me, I see the steel underneath. This is her night. Guests filter in, donors, journalists, a few old friends from my investment days. I'm busy greeting them when a familiar voice cuts through the low hum. Marcus. Helena. She's in a black gown, understated but commanding, her wheelchair almost blending with the shadows at the back of the room. Adrian isn't with her this time. I heard about the foundation, she says when I walk over. It's admirable. Thank you, I replied. Her gaze drifts toward Lila, who's talking to a cluster of reporters. You could still come back, you know. We could merge this into the company's philanthropic arm. Give it the kind of scale it deserves. That's not what this is about, I say quietly. Her eyes search mine. It doesn't have to be over between us. I made mistakes, Marcus, but we can fix them. Don't throw away what we had. I think of the month since I left. The small apartment, the skyline view, the slow walks with Lila, the nights spent working on grant proposals instead of damage control for Helena's image. It's already gone, I tell her. And I'm fine with that. Lila steps up to the podium, tapping the microphone. The room hushes. I turn away from Helena and take my seat in the front row. As Lila speaks, her voice gaining strength, I feel Helena's presence behind me. She doesn't interrupt, doesn't leave, but when I glance back at the end of the speech, her chair is empty. The city feels different at dawn. The glass towers catch the first light like they've been waiting for it all night, and the streets are still soft with the kind of silence you can't buy later in the day. I'm on the balcony of my apartment, our apartment now, though Lila still insists it's just temporary, until she finds something nearer to her rehab center. She's inside, brewing coffee that smells rich enough to pull me back in, but I linger in the cool air. The skyline used to remind me of Helena, tall, sharp, untouchable. Now it's just a view, a reminder that no single person owns the horizon. Lila's foundation has its first round of grants going out next week. I've been working late, but it's the kind of exhaustion that feels clean, the kind that leaves you with something worth showing for it. Last night we stayed up past midnight sorting through applications from kids who remind me of myself at 19, ambitious, uncertain, and desperate for someone to believe in them. My phone buzzes on the table beside me. The name on the screen is one I don't need to read twice. Helena. I let it ring. The call cuts off, and seconds later a message arrives. I'm in town. Let's talk. I delete it without opening it. The door slides open and Lila steps out, handing me a mug. You're thinking too hard, she says, leaning against the railing. Not really, I answered. Just, noticing how different the sky looks these days. She follows my gaze. The sun's higher now, gold bleeding into blue. For the first time in years, I'm not bracing for the past to catch up. Helena's shadow isn't gone, shadows never really disappear, but it's not over me anymore. I take a sip of coffee, the warmth settling in. Whatever comes next, I'll meet it under this different sky.